Morning, lovely summer weather here. Um, Today I want to talk about veterans in bold action, what they are, how to use them, and why you should use them. I play a lot of veterans in my lists, uh, and they seem to be very, very competitive. So there may be something there for rookies as well. Veterans in bold action are really good because they're very survivable. Um, they get you kill them on 5+, which means that only a third of all hits should be a kill on veterans, and that makes veteran units stay longer in the game, which is a good thing because you win the game at the end. So the veterans are really, really good for having units that can stick around. So that's one thing. They are also where you find most of the special rules. So units with extra bonuses in their special rules, they're usually veterans, which again allows you to make some very, very hard units that can really dish out damage on the enemy. What in Warhammer terms would be Death Stars, right? Although you can't really make, I used to play Eldar Seer Council, so you can't really make anything that broken in bold action, fortunately. But you can have some combinations that are really, really good. Especially if you find units where you can get tough fighter. Veterans with tough fighter and maybe a special rule more stubborn or fanatic or something, really, really good. Can really, really take on the enemy in close combat. Fanatic especially helps in that regard. So that's also one of the things that many veteran units has. The final thing I want to talk about with the veterans is that they are expensive. They're very, very expensive in points, which means that you can have a much smaller army compared to if you go with the inexperienced Russian or Japanese horde, right? Your army becomes very, very small if you go all veteran SS fanatic troops, right, with Panzerfaust and assault rifles and all that. You don't get to put many models on the table if you do that. So that's the price you pay. But it can sometimes be worth it. Now, how to play veterans? In my view, there are a couple of schools of thought on this. You can go min-maxing with veterans as you can with all the other units. A large group of veterans, full squad, 10-man, all tooled up, Death Star style. But in bold action, that doesn't really work well, because what will happen is your unit will get pinned down and then not do so much, right? Because pins still work on veterans. You have to put more pins on them before they stop moving, but they work. So building a Death Star with thousands points, although you can't do that, but you can get units where you push 200 points for one unit. It's not worth it, in my opinion. It's not worth it, but you can go that way. The other way you can go min-maxing is, of course, in the 5-man unit. A 5-man unit of veterans with maybe SMGs in a transport, jumping out and killing stuff. That can work, and I've seen it done very successfully. For me, that is not where the gold is at either, because a 5-man unit becomes vulnerable. It doesn't take much for that unit to lose 1 or 2 men, and then they're not really, then they start being a team more than a unit, right? And they're not really that killy anymore either. Wouldn't a 6-man unit with rifles of regulars be better then? So for me, 5-man units are not... They can work well, and I've seen competitive players run 5-man units. Typically, if you run like pseudo tank lists where you have Bren carriers or some other form of transport, like armored transport, and you want something nasty to hide inside and jump out and kill stuff, then 5-man units is great. Especially if you get 5-man units of engineers, assault engineers or something like that, flamethrower and SMGs, and they will definitely kill whatever they are aimed at then. Yes, they will. They become very, very expensive. It's a very expensive way of keeping your armored carriers alive, but you can, and they will win you games. For me, the real gold, where veterans really shine, is when you make them 8-man units. 7 to 8. That is where I find they're really, really good. That means they have a size where they're survivable, while the price tag is not too steep. So you can have 4 7 to 8-man units in an army easily, and still have points left over for whatever you want to buy to support them. And 7 to 8-man units, they usually get the job done when shooting. If you equip them with SMGs or assault rifles, that's enough to kill most anything that you point them at. 7 to 8-man units is also good enough if you assault tanks. Then you're a threat. You're a real threat, because typically if the tank hasn't moved right, you'll get maybe 4 hits. That's a 4+ to penetrate. Most tanks don't like that, especially light tanks, right? 7+ armored vehicles, they will die to that. So that's also good. And if we look at close combat in general, if you have low dice count in close combat, the dice become more binary. It's easier for you to strike out and not get anything that kills the enemy, right? So I think it's better to have a bit more dice, so the dice becomes more reliable in most situations. You get the hits that you count on. You get you win the close combats that you count on winning. So yeah, that would be my recommendation. Especially veterans, also, they really enjoy being transported. Whereas inexperienced troops, not so much. They can pretty much be on their own and just go down if stuff shoots at them, right? Veterans, I think you need to kill stuff for your points. So a transport is a good buy for a veteran unit. Find one that fits in size, and then just stuff your veterans in and have them waiting behind some cover. And then when the enemy comes too close, within your strike range, right, 12 inches for the vehicle, then 6 inches for the veterans, then shoot, maybe 12 inches if you have SMGs. So that's 24, that's 30-inch threat range, right? That's a lot. You can really push up and do some serious damage. So when the enemy moves in, you move out, jump out the veterans, and kill one unit. I guarantee you, if you do that, the enemy will react by panicking. They will start to shoot at your veterans. And that, in my opinion, is the wrong move. Yes, you shouldn't leave them alone, but you shouldn't try to panic shoot them, because what happens is that the rest of your army start doing what it needs to do to win. That's how you play a Death Star, by the way. That's you distract the enemy into killing one unit, because it's dangerous and tough and all that. And yes, it will die, but while he's doing that, you win. So and veterans really benefit from this tactic, in my eyes. So that is the reason why you should buy veterans. You can have lists where you just have 1, maybe 2 units of veterans, use it that way as a distraction, as something that goes up and kills stuff, and then the enemy uses all their energy on it. That works well, especially if you support it with a lot of smaller, maybe inexperienced or regular units that move up and grab all the objectives while you're doing it. Or you can go the veteran horde way, which is never a horde because you don't get the points, right? And buy all veteran. I'm not sure I would recommend small teams as veterans. They become, in my eyes, very expensive. And vehicles, I would never recommend them as veteran, except if you definitely want them to outflank and come on time. Yeah, I think that was what I had to say about veterans. Cheers.